Hello students and welcome to class 5 EVS chapter 4 with its heading Mangoes Round the Year. So dear students, today's week can follow me up on your textbook page number 35. Please take your textbook page number 35. So as I have read the heading before, Mangoes Round the Year. What do you understand by Mangoes Round the Year? Or any thought came to your mind when you just read the heading Mango Round the Year? Have you ever seen mangoes we are eating throughout the year? Or have you seen any other fruits which we eat throughout the year? So, when we look the heading of this chapter, we can identify that there is two important things which we can put our concentration there. So the first point is spoiled, and then the second is preservation. So the heading says mangoes round the year, and you know that we can never keep a mango, either it is ripe or unripe mangoes, we cannot keep for throughout the year. So what happens, maybe the ripened mango or the unripe mangoes, if we keep for some more days, what will happen? The ripe mangoes will start getting spoiled and we cannot eat anymore. And then even the unripe mangoes, we can keep for a little longer than the ripe mangoes. But what will happen after a few days? After a few days, the mangoes will start shrinking. And the shape will change, the taste will change. So that is the first part of how it gets spoiled. So if we want to keep mangoes around the year, throughout the year, what can be done? And the second step is that preservation. So we will be learning these two particular important points in this chapter. To keep mangoes around the year, we'll be learning two important topics, that is spoiled and preservation. Now, coming to the lesson, when you read your text, you will see in the first page of your text here an important scene where the children sharing their tiffin. So as you take your page number 35, you will see there in a cartoon-like shape it is given there. And what does we read there? There we see three important friends. They are having their tiffin break. So when you also have your tiffin break, what do? You open your tiffin and then you just look at your friend's tiffin, how and what curry they are bringing. And you are so eager to look theirs. Same thing happened to these three students. What are their names? Their names are Nidu, Amand and Preeti. So as soon as Nidu opened her tiffin box, he just looked at Amand and said, "Oh, Amand, you have brought sweet puris for your tiffin." Then Amand retorted, "Oh, Nidu, you have brought potato sabji." Then Preeti also interrupts saying, "I have brought bindi curry as for my tiffin." Then suddenly the whole atmosphere changed. What happened? Amand's facial expression changed and said, "Oh, Nidu, I think your potato sabji is spoiled." Then suddenly Preeti says, "Oh, then if your potato sabji is spoiled, please don't eat. If you eat, you will fall sick. So instead of eating your potato sabji, you can share my bindi curry." So with this situation, we are going to discuss few questions which we are encountering in our day-to-day life. So the first question is, how did Aman know that the potato sabji has got spoiled? So how did Aman came to know that the potato sabji of Nidu is being spoiled? How does he come to know? He came to know that the potato sabji of Nidu is spoiled by the bad smell which was coming out the moment Nidu opened her tiffin. So through the smell, a man is able to identify that the potato sabji of Nidu is being spoiled. Okay, the second question, have you ever seen some food that has got spoiled? How do you know that it was spoiled? I'm sure you all have seen what spoiling food means. Maybe in your kitchen, in your house kitchen, or somewhere in the marketplace when you go the shop, especially in the hotels or where they sell fruits or vegetables, you have seen shopkeepers or your mother throwing away the food that is being spoiled. So how then you have seen the spoiled food. So how do you know that it is spoiled? Maybe through the smell or through the changes of its color. So the moment the food gets spoiled, the color changes. Either black dark color will be on or greenish color will be there. So we are able to identify that the food is being spoiled and it can be used no more for us. And the third question is, Preeti told Nidu not to eat the potato sabji. What would have happened if she had eaten it? So Preeti suddenly when she came to know that the potato sabji of Nidu is spoiled, soon she said, "Oh, please don't eat the sabji." Why did Preeti say so? She said so because if Nidu eats that potato sabji, what will happen to Nidu? Nidu will certainly fall sick. She will get stomach upset, improper digestion will take place, and she will certainly fall sick. That's the reason why Preeti told Nidu not to eat the potato sabji. Instead, she was ready to share her tiffin with Nidu. So my dear students, this is the classwork or homework you can do in your house today, maybe after listening this session. See, look in your kitchen and write down the names of the food items that can get spoiled in 2 or 3 days. So you go to your kitchen, you ask your mother or you ask your elder sister or brother, whoever maybe, you ask their help and try to find out any food which gets spoiled by 2 or 3 days. I'll just cite you some examples, but you have to write your own in your textbook. So maybe sometimes the food which gets spoiled by 2 or 3 days are milk. What happens to milk? If you have not boiled that milk properly, it will get spoiled maybe by the end of the day. And then the cooked dal, especially during summer season, you cannot keep the cooked dal even for a day. By evening it will get spoiled. If you have cooked in the morning, by evening it will get spoiled. And then even the rice, you cook it in the morning and you are unable to finish it and it reaches till evening, and if it is in summer season, if there is warm temperature, naturally your food will get spoiled. So not even 2 days, even by a day, your food will get spoiled. These are the few examples I'm giving, but you can write your own which you find in your homes. And the next is, you have to find out the food which can be kept for a week. So first we have seen which gets spoiled by 2 or 3 days. Now you have to find out the food which you can keep for a week. That means for 7 days you can keep those food. So what are the foods? I will just cite you some examples like potato fry. If you have fried it so dry, you can keep it for a week. Or onion, or the cake which you have made, because it is dry and it is oily, so it can be preserved for a week. And then you have to find out some food which could not get spoiled for a month. So you have to go to your kitchen and find out at least 3 names which doesn't get spoiled for a month. Now I'll give you some examples like salt, sugar, oil. These are the things which doesn't get spoiled very fast. Not even for a month, you can keep for 2-3 months without getting spoiled and you can use it. So these are a few examples, but what you have to do as homework, you have to go to your kitchen and find out these particular things and note it down in your textbook or notebook. And the next is, you have to list out whether what we have listed now is same throughout the season. Throughout the year, can you be able to preserve that particular food items as same as you are preserving during summer, spring or winter? So that we have to. So what are the changes taking place? So we can, our list of food will never be same. Why? Because during summer season, our food gets spoiled very fast. But in winter, we can preserve it for the longer period of time. And the next question is, when food gets spoiled in your house, what do you do? So what do you do when your food gets spoiled? Will you eat it? Or will you give to your neighbor? What will you do? I am sure the moment you come to know that the food is spoiled, what you will do, you will throw straight to the dustbin. And that's what we all do. Even the shopkeepers, whoever may be, if anything is spoiled, they will never sell it out again, or they will never give to others. What they will do, they will dispose it in the dustbin. So that's what we do when the food gets spoiled. My dear students, remember, even the food which you like the best, and if you have sensed it that their food is already spoiled, you will never taste it, you have to throw it, or else you will fall sick. And now coming to the next topic, we see BG returned the bread. It's a heading given, BG returned the bread. Here we see a scene where BG goes to the shop in order to purchase bread. So she went to the shop, and then she found that there is a lot of customers in the shop. And she's trying hard in order to get the things which she wanted. So by that time the shopkeeper saw her and said, okay, what do you want? And then she said, I need bread. So the shopkeeper gave her bread, the loaf of bread. And when she took that bread packet, suddenly she looked an intent look at the plastic, and then soon she returned back to the shopkeeper. Dear students, why did BG return the bread packet as soon as she looked at the packet, soon back to the shopkeeper? Can you guess it? Yes. BG returned suddenly after looking at the packet to the shopkeeper because she found that the bread is already spoiled. And how did she find out that the bread is already spoiled? She saw there is dark green color already formed at the edge of the bread. And she looked at the manufacturing, the packaging of the bread. And she found that it's already expired. So she returned back soon to the shopkeeper. So we need to find out in our day-to-day life. And then for now, when you sit at home, you try to find out what I'm going to read now. What can we know from what is written on the package? Whenever you go to the shop for buying something, what do? When you ask for certain thing, even for a cheap Uncle Chips or kurkure or any packet or any biscuit, anything, maybe stationery thing, soap or cream or whatever maybe, when you go and ask the shopkeeper, when the shopkeeper gives you in the hand, what do? We will automatically look at the manufacturing date and the price of that. It is written MRP. What is the meaning of the MRP? So MRP means maximum retail price, which means the shopkeeper cannot take from the customer more than what is already written there. So they cannot cheat the customers. And you need to pay only the price which is written there, not the more amount which the shopkeeper is asking you. So MRP, that's a very important thing which you note for yourself. And then you will see PKD. What is the meaning of the PKD? PKD, it is written date of manufacturing and when it is expiring. Expiry date also, it's already given there. So you are able to identify for yourself whether you need to take those things or not. Or else, if you buy without looking that, what will happen? You take home and then you start using, and then it will cause you a problem if the expiry date is already over. So we need to check out clearly, slowly what is written in the package. So you take any package, you are able to identify that. And the next question which you need to keep for yourself when you go out for marketing, what you have to do. When you buy anything from the market, what do you look for the packet and what you need to look at the packet? As I have mentioned earlier, you should be very prudent to check out everything what is written in the packet. Like in the side of the packet, some green dot and red dots used to be there. So if a green dot represents vegetarians, means it's a pure product of vegetables. So likewise, you need to check out clearly whatever articles which you buy from the shop, especially the manufacturing dates and when it is getting expired and how long you can use that packet and what are the ingredients put in that packet. So you need to have clear-cut idea, only then you need to purchase your things, or else it will be harmful for you. And the next page, page number 37, there is an experiment which you have to do when you are at home now. So this is an experiment which will help us to identify how the food gets spoiled. So for example, if you have a bread at home, take it, or if you have a roti, whatever maybe, take either bread or roti. And then what you have to do is just sprinkle a few drops of water over the bread. So you sprinkle water over the bread, and what you have to do, you just take one container and then you cover it. And there is a green column in your textbook, and there are days given, first day, second day, third day, for till 6 days. And what are the observations you need to do, it's written there. So you have to write down each day what is happening to that particular bread which you have sprinkled the water. Like I will just tell you the first day. So you have taken the bread and you sprinkled. After sprinkling the first day, what you have to do is just look at it. So before looking, you just touch. You just touch the bread which you have just sprinkled water. And then what do you feel? You feel wet and soft. So the bread is wet and soft. And so that you need to note by the second column, wet and soft. And then the second and third column, what you have to do is smell. You just smell it. What is the smell of the bread? And you just simply get the light smell of the bread. And then the fourth column, what you have to write is, you have to look through the hand lens. I hope you know what is hand lens. In some of your geometry books, you used to see some round thing with a small handle. So that is called hand lens. So if you have that, look through that hand lens to the bread. What do you see? So the first day is just normal. So you just write on the fourth column just normal. And then color, you just see the color. The color is just normal. There is no changes in the color. So that is the first day observation. So second day, so if you have put in the morning, next day morning you just look what is happening to the bread. And then your observation you have to write in this chart which is given. So accordingly you will be able to identify what are the changes taking place in the piece of bread that you have kept for experimenting. So after this experimenting, I will be discussing now a few questions which will be helping you to understand more of the experiment which you have done. So the first question is, we need to find out the reasons of these changes. From where did the fungus come over the bread? So what are the changes you are finding in the bread? The changes which you are finding in the bread is that just your bread is getting rotten. So why your bread is getting rotten? It is because of the growth of fungus. And you know what is fungus? Fungus belongs to the group of microorganisms. What is microorganisms? Microorganisms are small living creatures which you can't see with your naked eyes. But how can you see it? You can see it with the help of microscope. So these are microorganisms. Fungus is part of these microorganisms which you cannot see with your naked eyes, but you can see clearly with the help of microscope. And the other questions which we need to look into is different kinds of food items spoil due to the different reasons. Some food gets spoiled soon, some stay longer, and some even for a longer period of time. So we need to list out seasons and conditions in which food gets spoiled quickly. So now you can try it for yourself also, some more points, but I will tell you, I will list out some few points which our food gets spoiled very fast if we are very careless. Like the first point, if you cook your food and then you keep it just open. Like for example, your mommy cooks enough food in the hot case. And after your meal, you just continue keeping in the hot case. What will happen to your food? Naturally, your food will get spoiled very fast because there is warm temperature inside the hot case. Hot case is used in order to keep your food warm. So if you want to preserve your food, if you continue keeping the hot case, naturally your food will get spoiled. So what you have to do, you put it in another container, close it and keep properly airtight so that you can preserve it for the longer period of time. And then when you boil your milk, you have to boil it nicely or else your milk will get spoiled very fast. So your milk should be boiled properly or else your milk will get spoiled within maybe by evening. Morning you boil, you did not boil properly and you didn't use it fully. And then evening you keep for evening. What will happen when you come in evening? You will get the foul smell of that. So we need to boil milk properly in order to preserve it for the longer period of time. And then vegetables, you buy green vegetables from the market. What do? Where do you keep? And where should you keep so that it can be preserved for longer period of time? So if your green vegetables is kept in the warm, humid places, your vegetable will get rotten very fast. So you need to keep in the dry places. And then you use pickles or whatever, maybe homemade things, and then you open the cover lid and keep. What will happen? Your pickle will get spoiled very fast. So in order to preserve it for longer time, what you have to do? You have to cover the bottles and keep it so that you can use it for the longer period of time. And coming to the next page, page number 38, and there we see small exercise. And that I will be telling you now, and as you listen my talk, you can mark it in your textbook. So here given below are food items and methods. So these are the food items and methods which you can use it in order to preserve the food for a longer period of time. Like here, food items are given here in one column and then the methods are given in the other columns. So this is the classwork. When you are listening my talk, you can mark it in your textbook. So milk. How can we preserve the milk for a longer period of time? We can preserve the milk for a longer period of time by boiling it. So just make an arrow mark towards the boiling it. So milk, if you want to keep for the longer period of time, you just need to boil it. And then cooked rice. Cooked rice, how can you keep for the longer period? How can you preserve it for the longer period of time? You can preserve it for the longer period of time by keeping it in the bowl. And then what you have to do, take the bigger bowl and put water in that bigger bowl. And then put the bowl which you have kept the rice in that water. But don't keep the water so much that water will enter inside. No. So what you have to do, take a bowl, one separate bowl, and then you put the rice, and then take another bigger bowl, put water inside that, and then put the rice bowl on that water. Then you can preserve it for the longer period of time. And green coriander. How can you keep the green coriander for the longer period of time? What you just need to do is wrap it in a damp cloth. What do you mean by damp cloth? Take a clean piece of cloth, you just wet that cloth and then you just roll that particular green coriander inside the damp cloth, that means wet cloth. Then you can preserve it for the longer period of time. And onion, garlic, where we should preserve, where should we keep? Should we keep anywhere? No. We have to keep in the dry open place. So if we keep this one in the dry open place, we can preserve it for the longer period of time, and then you can make use of the things for the longer time without getting rotten. So my dear students, now let us just go into some general information which we need to know about food, about how to keep our food safe so that we can use it for later use, and how to prevent from getting spoiled or how food are getting spoiled. Now if I ask you, what is spoilage? So what do you understand by spoilage? Now I have been talking so much about getting spoiled. So what do you understand by spoilage? Or have you ever come to know about the term spoilage? What is spoilage? So what is spoilage? Spoilage is a condition in which food becomes unfit for our consumption. So this spoilage means the condition where the food items becomes unfit for us for our consumption. We cannot eat anymore. So what will happen? The only condition is we have to dispose of. We have to throw it away. So that is called spoilage. Spoilage means the condition where it becomes unfit for us. We cannot eat. It is not fit for us anymore for our consumption. So how does our food get spoiled? That's what I've already mentioned before. Our food gets spoiled because of the presence of the microorganisms. Our food gets spoiled because of the presence of the microorganisms. So what are the conditions? What are the conditions in which microorganisms grow? Have you ever thought of that? So I have told you our food gets spoiled because of the presence of the microorganisms. So which are the conditions in which our food gets spoiled? And which are the conditions in which microorganisms grows very fast? The first point is because of the presence of the air. So if there is air present in that particular thing or particular materials, the particular thing will get the fungus or microorganisms will come, and then our food gets spoiled very fast. So because of the presence of air. And the second point is presence of the moisture. What is moisture? If it is wet. As I've told you to make an experiment with a piece of bread. So you have made wet the piece of bread. And what happens? As soon as these microorganisms find the moisture, they come and settle and they start growing over there. And in the presence of the warm temperature, if there is warm temperature, naturally the microorganism grows. So these are the three main conditions in which the microorganism starts growing in the particular food items or the things which makes us unfit for our consumption. So I've already told what is microorganisms and where does it present. So microorganisms is present in the air. And can you see that? We can't see some we can see, like fungus, we can see the greenish color or a thread-like thing that is visible in our eyes. So microorganisms are not visible in our eyes, but we can see with the help of the microscope. And then what happens? These microorganisms will find the moist area, and then they will come and settle down and they start growing in that. So if these are the conditions for the microorganisms to grow, what are the conditions in which we can stop the growth of the microorganisms? So which are the methods? It can be just the vice versa, which I've already mentioned. So in order to not let the microorganisms grow in our food items, what we need to do, just remove the moisture. That means we need to make dry the particular things which we want to preserve. So remove the moisture, remove the air, and then remove the warm temperature. That is why we keep our food in the freezer. So remove the warm temperature, and then there are some food preservatives which we can add in order to prevent the growth of the microorganisms in the food. So now coming to the next topic, what is food preservation? Food preservation is a method in which we can delay or we can prevent the food from getting spoiled. So food preservatives means a method which we can delay or we can just prevent the food from getting spoiled. So there are many methods, like for example the method of freezing. That is why we keep our food items in the freezer, and then drying. Some leaves we cut, and then I'm sure your mother does, and then you can preserve it for a longer period of time. And then salting, pickling, some fruits, especially mangoes, we make it pickled so that we can use throughout the year. And then we add sugar. Sugar also is one of the methods in which we can preserve food. So this sugar, that is why jams are made. Jam, there is a lot of sugar in that. So the sugar also is a preservative, one of the methods. And then smoking food. I am sure you know what is smoking food. When you're in your house, there is excess of pork or beef or meat hoons, whatever maybe, what do your mother do? They just cut to pieces and they put over the fire and then they smoke it so that you can preserve it for the longer period of time. And then canning, that means these industries, they put it in the container in order to preserve it and keep it for the longer period of time. Vacuum preservation. What is vacuum preservation? Vacuum preservation means like corn. Corn, you boil it and then you want to keep for a week. So what do? You put it in the plastic and there is a particular machine in order to outlet the air. That means the air is fully pushed out from that particular plastic. So you can preserve that particular thing for at least for a week. And one other method is adding preservatives, maybe vinegar or whatever maybe we add in order to preserve the particular things. So after hearing all that, what is food preservatives? Food preservatives prevents the growth of microorganisms. So these food preservatives just prevent the growth of the microorganisms so that we can slow down the process of food getting spoiled. So food preservatives means it's a process in which the growth of the microorganism is slowed down. It is slowed down so that we can preserve the food and we can use it for the later use. So what are those examples? I've already mentioned before. So what are those examples? Maybe by fruit drying. How do we get dates? How do we get any other fruits in the market? Dried fruits. They dry, they cut and then they dry it in the sun for a long period of time and the moisture is being removed from that particular thing. And then they can pack it and then use for the longer period of time. And have you seen dry fish? From where does this dry fish comes from? If you keep the fresh fish for a week, what will happen? You get the foul smell. But this fish also is being dried for many months, putting salt and then they dry. That's why there is a lot of dry fish, different types of dry fish, which is kept for the long period of time. So this is also one of the way in which food is being preserved. And then smoking food, that's what I've already mentioned before, vacuum preservation. So these are the different ways in which we can preserve our food. So my dear students, this is the end of the first part of our lesson for mangoes round the year. In the next session, we will be hearing how we can preserve and make use the things in the longer period of time. Thank you for your patient listening.